Well, here we have Mike with a position on the table that doesn't look too promising. And he plays this cannon, which shows to me how much thought is a difficult enough shot, but he's managed to control the balls. He's left himself a choice of 3 shots in. So he's playing the in off yellow. Lovely shot. Lovely shot, the first shot. Out of nothing. Most people would be quite happy to have left the balls where they were, because the cannon itself was quite difficult. Had to be spot on. But Mike's managed to put them all in a nice position. Therefore, if he gets it, he's in business. Right, now he's got the cannon. Not ideal, because you've got to be careful to push the yellow no further away from the centre of the table than it already is. And he's got it nice and full, which is good. Kept it away from the corner pocket. Now he'll go to work with a few cannons. See how much care he took with that one. That doesn't look good at first sight, but he's got a cushion, yellow cushion, red cannon here, which will improve the position. No end. As long as the red doesn't go in. Oof. When he got that yellow so thin, I'm wondering whether he played to get it off the cushion rather than direct. However, screws across the table into very good position here. Might be a bit thin, this cannon, but it shouldn't be a problem. It's noticeable how much care Mike took over what was a simple shot, a little gentle pop with the wrist. So accurate with the cue ball. Such a good play to take so much care over an easy shot. Reminds us how important that is to, when you're in position, stay in position. That's what these top fellas do for long periods of time. There was a compromise there between getting the cannon and losing partial position. He still just about kept the red in play. He's gone wrong there. Potted, he should be able to wriggle through the gap, but he didn't want the red in. So at the moment, just struggling a little bit actually for position, but if he can keep going for a little while longer, he'll find his touch. Played with a lot of check side, right hand side, that cannon, to hold his cue ball back and promote the red. The side has an effect on the second ball, changes the direction slightly and helps in that instance check the cue ball against the red. Worth mentioning that this audio I'm putting on here was done in 2015. Unfortunately, a year or so ago we lost the referee Michael Wright, very popular guy and very much an enthusiast both as a player and a referee, and he was a sad loss to the game. It's a little upsetting to watch this, seeing him quite fit and able only such a short time ago. However, the game goes on and we're watching Mike begin to get into his stride. As he gets into the 90s, he crosses the baulk line to satisfy the regulation, baulk line crossing. He's left himself a thin one. He's okay here, but he's got to be careful. Got to avoid the cover. Which he does. So that's 101, 103 with that cannon. He's still not quite controlling the balls like he does when he's at his best, but we'll see shortly how he starts to get into his stride. After another 100 points, he becomes totally at one with the table. few losers in the middle probably here. But it'll only be one because he straight away put the red in position for the drop cannon from the left side of the table, which is better because the yellow is slightly that side of the spot. Okay, playing 3-6-9 because the angle wasn't there to force the cue ball out for the pot, so making sure, not trying anything silly. I'm sure he'd like to make a decent break here, because he knows he's playing a player capable if he's not on his game, and he'll want to impose himself. Nice little pot. He plays those shots very often with a bit of drag and side, so the drag kills the pace in the cue ball and the side just brings it out to give him a nice angle on the cannon. Well, to me, he's starting to look more fluent and more in control of the balls now. Not that he wasn't before, but there's a difference, which I'm sure those who've seen Mike play a lot will notice. As with any player, the longer they play, the more in touch they become. May screw back here. No, cannon. Mike worried about chalk on the table there. He's constantly wiping the cloth, but he's not getting chalk off, he's just pushing it into the cloth more. It'd be good if they used less chalk actually.
69.
I notice he's not chalking up every shot anyway. While he's just stroking the ball around gently, there's no need to chalk up too often. And what does help is to chalk your cue and then tap the shaft against the table with a tip away from the bed, pointing away from the table. And the little puff of chalk comes off and it just leaves the right amount of chalk on the tip. And the bit that comes off would have gone on the cloth as soon as you struck the cue ball. And that builds up and they wonder why they get kicks. There's chalk all over the table. Ball line crossing again. As he approaches 200, he's really beginning to flow now though, isn't he? Less problems. He's producing less problems. More shots being played from where he wants to play them. Lots of check on that one to bring it back this side of the table rather than try and roll it in dead weight. And there's the 200. Lots of side, right hand side on that cannon to straighten up this pot. To turn the red to the left and the cue ball to the right on contact with the red. Here Mike has a little breather while he has the balls clean. It's simply something to occupy the referee while he wipes his cue down and takes a sip of something. Its concentration is absolutely superb. It's the great attribute of these top billiard players is the ability to keep the same tempo, the same concentration on even a shot like this. That shot has to be played correctly. Play it too thin and the cue ball goes too far. Too thick and it doesn't come far enough off the cushion. So although it's an easy pot that anyone could pot, it has to be potted in the right manner. And he's taking great care over those little things, which is why, allied to his wonderful skill of course, but it's one of the reasons why he can make massive breaks, because he carries on relentlessly, concentrating. And if you're sitting in the chair, you must be wondering, am I ever going to get back to the table?
224. 226. 229. 232. 234. 222.
Something must have caught his eye there, because he got up off the shot and looked over towards Matt, I believe, or that direction anyway, as if something moved. I don't know if it did, but he's back in the zone again. Well, this is floating white, and there's one of three forms of top of the table. The other two being postman's knock, where the object white is tightish or tight on the top cushion behind the spot, and the other is reverse top of the table, where the object white is the other side of the spot, just off the straight line and a ball or so towards the ball cushion from the spot. And it's a very useful way of scoring some quick points, although you are limited by the fact that the white will be creeping further and further away from the red, and once it's gone about a foot, you really need to get it back behind the spot. So, but that's a sequence that's useful. If you ever find yourself there, make the most of it, and then play the cannon back, which you'll see eventually. You saw it with Matt earlier on in the previous break. So you come the other side and play a cannon, white to red, brings the white back behind the spot. This mode of the game, all the old books and experts used to say that it took you 20 years to learn to play top of the table, and amateurs should never attempt it. Well, I saw Mike play a tournament in Southampton, well, it must have been 30 years ago, 30 odd years ago, and he was a teenager then, and he made a couple of breaks of 300 plus with wonderful top of the table. And I remember saying to him, here we go, the ball line crossing again. I remember saying to him that you're not supposed to be able to do that at your age. How have you managed to learn all there is to know in such a short time, and play it as well? And he said, well, there are only half a dozen shots. I mean, it may have been a couple more or less, but I mean, you get the idea. So I just practiced each one individually until I perfected it and knew the shot. So then I just put them together. He may have forgotten that, but I remember him telling me that many, many years ago. And around that time, a very good friend of mine, Roger Davies, we both know or knew Jack Carnham very well, and we both thought it'd be a great idea to get Mike and Jack together, because Mike was clearly a prospect, one of the, among a couple of others, but a great prospect for the future, which he's turned out to be, of course. And with Jack giving him some help and polishing his game a bit, he could become what he is, what he has become. And that's what happened. Roger took Mike down to Jack, and Jack and Mike became very good friends. Mike still talks about him today. Jack was a great player, and there wasn't much he didn't know about the game. if anything. And he was a great player. He didn't quite turn it into trophies, although he did win the World Championship. He actually should have won more. He was that good. He could play everything. He could play red ball. He could play 10, 20 middle pocket in us in the same pocket, or more. Play top of the table and nurseries. He was very good at nurseries, turning the corner and all that. So, great all-round curist. And he taught Mike a lot, undoubtedly. And I know he said to Mike, you know what, no good making 200s and 300s. You've got to be making 500s and thousands. And well, he'd be pleased today to see how far he's come, because that's what he's doing now. And in fact, Mike did make his first 1,000 break with Jack in an exhibition. And he's since, of course, made 1,000 break in the IBSF World Championship, in the final, playing Peter Gilchrist, another fine player. Meanwhile, Mike has lost the red. Not the end of the world, but he didn't want it in play to pot it. He can wiggle through here, and a couple of shots time he could screw back here to leave the cannon. Always better to play the cannon with both balls in front of you, so that you're pushing them together rather than apart. And it's really beginning to flow now. There's a difference now in the striking of the cue ball. Lovely pace. Look at that delicate touch on the yellow. Once again, great care on the red. Left the right angle here. As we approach 250.